Good morning guys, and welcome back to the channel. You join me in my hometown of Uckfield for a rather unique breakfast meet. This is actually a classic car meet where we're going to see something like 70 or 80 classic cars and bikes all getting together, driving down the high street in procession and then parking up so we can have a good look around them. I'm going to talk to some of the owners as well and find out a bit more detail about some of these cars. Luckily as well, I've been talking to someone, probably the oldest vehicle in this car park behind me. It's from 1919, so I'm going to get a lift down with him as long as we make it. I understand he said it's not good in traffic, it's a bit temperamental, but let's see what happens. Right, it's time to go. I'm in the back of this 14.5 litre beast. It's ridiculous. There we go. We're just starting up now. So we're going to climb on board. I've got to say, this is one of the more surreal moments I've ever experienced. I'm travelling down my local high street in a fire engine from 1919. There are a lot of people around, all stopping, taking pictures. We've got a big procession of other classics as well, and in the middle of that you've just got your normal run-of-the-day cars just going off and doing their shopping. So this is a very, very bizarre moment, but it's quite cool. Lots of people out and about taking pictures. I've arrived down at Uckfield Field along with the rest of the cars. There's like 70 or 80. The field is absolutely packed, which is fantastic. And that has to be the most unique taxi ride I've ever had. The back of a 1919 fire engine. There's a huge variety of cars down here, so we're going to go and talk to some of the owners of these because they'll have a far better knowledge of these cars than I will.
Hello, I'm Peter Cooper. I live here in Uckfield, and this is my MG Maestro Turbo, which is one of only 505 that were originally manufactured. It's 2018, and 30 years ago this November, BL as it was then announced this version of the Maestro as being a special deal that they were going to do. One of only 500 cars. This particular one is number 436. So it's towards the end of the production run. And I bought this back in spring of 2014, sight unseen as an eBay purchase, and it was advertised as only requiring a mechanical overhaul. Little did I realise until I got it back down here in East Sussex that it required a bit more than a mechanical overhaul. So over the next 3 years it was stripped down. It was sent away to what originally was an enthusiastic amateur who agreed to do the bodywork repairs, but unfortunately his skills were even lower than mine, so it had to to be recovered back to me and then passed on to a professional repairer who did everything that was required and repainted it. And I started with a totally bare body shell the week before Christmas of December 2016, and of March 2017 it appeared at the NEC in the show there as a complete finished car. And in that time I had touched every single nut, bolt, screw, washer that there is on the car. So this has been totally rebuilt by me in a domestic garage. The engine is a little bit special in that it's a standard MG engine as fitted in the normal Maestro, but BL decided to put a turbocharger onto it, which increased the power from about 115 up to 150 brake horsepower. And the advertising strapline of the time was that it's faster than a Ferrari, a Lamborghini or a Porsche. Admittedly, they were a little bit special in which models of Ferrari they chose, but yes, 6.7 seconds was the advertised time on the 0 to 60. So it's very special for a 2-litre engine for a car that was made in 1990.
Right, so its company is called American La France, and they're the fire engine that you see in all of the famous American movies. Great big long fire engines with rear steering on at the end of the ladder. So this is the company, American La France. Started in 1800s. Trucks in La France started it. They had problems getting Americans to like the idea of La France, the name La France. They wanted American, so he rebranded at the end of the 1800s as they went into a company they formed called American La France, and it took off, and it was successful through the whole of the 1900s, right up until 2014, when unfortunately it went through asset stripping and doesn't exist anymore. So but American La France, that is the epitome of the American fire engine. Started as a steam-drawn, horse-drawn steam pump, and it evolved, and that was in the late 1800s, and this was 1919. This evolved, and this was a 6-cylinder, 14.5 litre engine, a T-head engine, which is not a very usual engine. It's quite uncommon, but it has say 6 cylinders, 6.5-inch diameter pistons, and it delivered 115 horsepower to the massive bronze pump which sits under the driver's seat. So the tank that's shown up behind the seat, that's petrol. So that sits up there, and Newton delivers the petrol down into the engine, and with a bit of luck you'll get 3 miles to the gallon out of it. So it's a juicy old beast, and great fun to drive. Very, very heavy on the clutch. It's a beast. The steering is solid. It's rock solid. You will not turn the steering wheel whilst the vehicle is stationary. It just won't happen. You have to be moving to allow the wheels to turn. It's that difficult, it really is. I'm only a small guy, so it's a bit of a struggle for me. But the pedal arrangements for driving it slightly different. Left-hand side, you've got the 3 pedal arrangement, of course, clutch, throttle and brake, but left pedal, clutch, center pedal, throttle. Right-hand pedal is the brake, and then the gear selectors on the running board outside, big lever on the running board outside, and next to that is a handbrake that is attached to the rear axle. So there's no brakes on the front. The braking is done on the rear axle, and there's 2 separate brake systems. Foot brake is an internal on the drum, and the handbrake is an external strap on that same drum. So it's just on the rear axle. The drive is through from the engine through a transmission onto a dummy shaft or a lay shaft, and then there's chain drive to the rear axle to actually drive it forward. The wheels are wooden, and it is supposedly do 70 miles an hour if you're cool enough to drive like that. But because of the rake on the way the wheels are set, it does not like camber on the road. So if you get a high camber on the road, it'll throw you off one way or the other. Very, very difficult to hold in a straight line. But this is now, as I say, 100 years old next in February. It's great fun. It's all in the original livery. It's got Huron #1 written on the bonnet. You can see it in gold leaf, and that was the first pumping engine they had, and it's retained its livery, which is lovely.
Just behind me we've got an RS 1600, and this has to be the most immaculate car I've ever seen. It looks absolutely incredible. It's taken the owner over a year to actually get it in the condition it is at the moment. The weather at the moment is rather grey and overcast, so he is rather wary. He's got a little app on his phone keeping an eye on the weather, because if it starts raining, he's out of there. This thing, oh, it's beautiful. So we're going to have a quick look over the car.
Once again, a thank you from all fellow petrol heads.
This is my 1964 Morris Traveller, fully rebuilt, one owner from new. I've completely restored it, 1098 engine. It's all completely redone, new floors, door skins, wings. So the engine was seized when I got it, so I completely rebuilt the engine. It just runs like a dream. All new ashwood, done. 4 KA seats in it though, I upgraded the seats. A bit more comfort for the long journeys. And it's my pride and joy basically. Absolutely love it. Wouldn't be without it.
Back on this 1919 fire engine. We've gone back up the high street eventually. You don't realise how big this thing is, but it's been absolutely fantastic. Massive thanks to the driver here. So I'm going to head back to the Highlands and then try and warm up. No gloves or hat. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Comments are always welcome, and remember to click on that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.